Welcome to La Vida Rosa. I'm your host Pinky, and today we will be talking about Married at First Sight Season 13, Episode 3. And finally, we have seen all the weddings. So if you'd like to see more, then just stay tuned. But before we begin, I would like for everyone to check out my website, lavidarosastyle.com, where you can find cute accessories like the ones I'm wearing right now. Like, comment, and subscribe. And without further ado, let's get into this video. So y'all, excuse my bummy appearance. If I didn't record this right now, it just wasn't going to be recorded, so I just had to do it. And I'm not a hat person because for a long time I could not wear hats at all because, you know, my hair was like this big poofy afro, but now I can wear hats. So can y'all tell me where y'all get y'all cute hats from? Because I'm gonna need some, clearly, you know, for my bad hair days. Before we get into the different weddings, I love the fact that all the couples by the end of this episode seem to be so comfortable with each other. That is so refreshing because these past few seasons, at least one out of all the couples were awkward and, you know, standoffish, antisocial. I just like to see compatibility with these couples. I don't want to see awkward cringiness the whole time. I also like how they don't let one difference that they have with each other ruin the entire day. Because I've noticed that with a lot of these couples in the past, they've been really immature because they'll have one little argument or one thing that rubbed them the wrong way. They'll let that color their entire perception of that person without actually giving them a chance to see different sides of them. So I really like that about this group of couples. And also, let me go ahead and say, the preview that they showed at the end of this episode had me both excited and devastated at the same time. I think it's safe to say that Hurricane K is going to make a special appearance. It's kind of hurting my heart a little bit. I don't know. I'm a little scared. But let me not get there yet. I'm going to stay in a moment. Since we're on them, I guess we could go ahead and start with Michaela and Zach. When they were sitting down to eat, Michaela was like, oh, I don't know what to do with my gum. And he literally held out his hand for her to spit out. You know, like what your mom does or Usher does when you're in church and you ain't supposed to be chewing gum and they like spit it out of my hand. I guess that was cute, but it was kind of like, okay, did you really have to spit out in your hand? Because we're about to eat and that's nasty. He asked her, is she close with her sisters? And I thought it was hilarious that her sisters was already over there peeping them. They were over there. Their commentary while they were sitting down eating was hilarious, by the way. Her sisters are just as funny as she is. But yeah, she's clearly very close with her sisters. They talk about their longest relationships. Her longest relationship was just shy of a year. He ended it with her because they were on two different paths, and it was a few years ago, so that's fine as long as it wasn't just earlier this year. Married at First Sight love to find people fresh out of relationships. He opened up about how he was once very insecure and he was picked on because he was very scrawny, and you know, he went to an all-white male high school. I went to a predominantly white school growing up, and so I know exactly where he's coming from with that. Being the only black girl in the classroom is very difficult. It takes a toll on your self-esteem. I'll just say that. He said he also got teased for being dark. And someone mentioned in my live that before Michaela walked down the aisle, he was concerned about her not liking his skin. And I knew it was because he got teased. I knew it. I knew it had something to do with colorism. And I love that Michaela was like, well, you ain't got nothing to worry about over here. Your skin is gorgeous. I love your skin. He also said that he grew his confidence in college. Once again, I just totally identify with him because I was made fun of a lot in elementary and junior high. Once I got to high school, it got better, but once I got to college, that's when I really became confident, so I could really identify with him saying that. But I just enjoyed the fact that he got so vulnerable with her and was like actually self-aware enough to even share that, because a lot of men wouldn't. A lot of people was doubting him and making it seem like he was just weak or like he was just a big crybaby, but I think he's aware of his emotions and he doesn't mind expressing them. So she sat down with his parents, and his dad was not convinced about you know, him doing this experiment at first, but he sees their connection and he's like, it's undeniable. And so, you know, obviously he's kind of giving his blessing on this. And the mom proceeded to like spill all of his tea. Like she gave her an entire rundown. And you know, parents always be doing the most. Why they be telling all your business? They love to tell all your business. Like, let him have a chance to tell some of that. Michaela was just sitting there like information overload. It's like she couldn't even compute everything the mom was saying. But I thought that was a cute moment. He also spoke with her sisters, and they look like they do not play whatsoever. He better not step an inch out of line or he's gonna get jumped. Her sister asked, why should we trust you with our sister? And he basically said, you'll see. And I'm like, Zach, that ain't no good answer now. Come on. Now, Zach, I like you, but first impressions are everything. And I'm gonna need for you to have something a little bit more solid than you'll see. Like, and I got what he was trying to say, and I know actions speak louder than words and everything, but I'm gonna need some words right now because I don't know you like that. You know what I'm saying? You just got to come better than that when you're trying to give a first impression on family members. You just do. You should have been prepared for that answer anyway. And then one of her sisters tried to put her age on blast. Like, do you know how old your wife is? I was like, dang, like, what if he didn't? But he did. He, you know, he doesn't mind it, obviously. And yeah, I don't know. I do think he handled the interrogation well. Like, he didn't seem to be like stumbling over his words or anything. But yeah, when somebody asks you what are your intentions, you need to have something prepared, sir. Let me say, for every wedding that did the whole husband goes underneath the dress for the garter, I enjoyed every single scene with the couples doing that. I always think that's hilarious. But Zach ended up giving her a whole lap dance, and at first he wasn't leaning into it. He was like, oh no, I'm just playing. She was like, oh no, I wasn't, okay? I want this lap dance. You finna go Magic Mike, okay? After that, obviously they went up to the hotel room, and y'all, they were so flirtatious with each other. I think they were both drunk. But when I tell you, they were just like, they could not keep their eyes off each other. Low-key couldn't keep their hands off each other. And when she changed into her pajamas or whatever, he was just like very pleased. He was like, oh, you had all of that up under that dress? I was like, she was all blushing and like posing. I'm like, he had to stop himself from saying too much. I'm like, you don't have to stop yourself from saying too much. Maybe not on camera. Maybe y'all should wait till the cameras leave. But you ain't got to stop yourself from saying too much. That's your wife. You know what I'm saying? And Michaela, of all people, would really appreciate that. So, y'all, their chemistry is just so undeniable. It's just palpable. You could feel it. I'm so rooting for them. Even though I was very discouraged by that preview, I just have to believe that they're going to push through, y'all. Fight for this. Fight for this, you guys. Fight for it. We need it. Okay? Y'all are our only chance at black love this season. Bao and Johnny. He said that his love language is physical touch, and he made it very clear that, you know, that's the main thing he wants from his wife is physical touch. And I'm glad he left the clingy thing out of there, because that might have really would have scared her. But she went ahead and told him that she, like, out of all her love languages, physical touch is probably the lowest of the low. She does not like to be touched at all. And I'm just like, I don't know how this is going to go, because there's going to have to be some compromise there. And I just don't know if Bao is going to be willing to compromise, especially based off of what her family members said. They said that they don't even hug her. Like, they don't, that, you know, her brothers and her roommate, they don't even hug. So he already knows he's going to have a hard time breaking down those walls. But I just really, really, really hope that Bao is willing to compromise and give him something. And I hope he is willing to accept not getting as much physical touch as maybe he was looking for. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm sure she'll show her love in other ways. She said her love languages is acts of service and gift giving. So There's gonna have to be some compromise. So when they discussed money, she said she's decent at saving money. She said she did splurge on her Jimmy Choo wedding shoes, but she bought them on consignment. So he was very impressed by that. He know what it was at first, but when she told him, he was like, oh, I like that. I like that. I'm a thrifter, baby. I'm not judging nobody at all. Majority of my closet is thrifted. When she spoke with his groomsmen, she told them that she always had a crush on him, but she never made a move because she was like, she didn't have enough courage to do so. And I like the fact that she actually said that, because you know, she didn't say that at first. She didn't tell Johnny that. And hopefully that gets back to Johnny so that he can feel a little bit more secure that she likes him. Because he, like he said, he wants to make sure that people really cares about him, that it's not like a one-sided thing. If he knows that she always had a crush on him, that'll probably put his mind at ease. So then he spoke with his friends and they asked him about consummating his marriage, and he said they're gonna have an uphill battle because they started as acquaintances, and it might be, you know, it might be a little tough to get past that point. He's hopeful that the honeymoon will bring them closer. And I'm like, I don't know. He might be sadly mistaken, because someone that is not that interested in physical touch, I have a feeling that Bao is going to have a hard time getting to that point, or it's going to be a while before they get to that point. He seems like he'll be very respectful of her boundaries though. It's crazy because when he went under her dress, he did like he did a Magic Mike too. He did a Magic Mike up under her dress and got her garter with his teeth. Now she is somebody who doesn't like physical touch, so I know she was uncomfortable. She was laughing and joking and smiling, but I know she was feeling some type of, or maybe she liked it. Maybe her whole physical touch thing will change or be different with Johnny, because she did say she liked him, and she did look like she liked that. After the reception was done, they go up to the room, and he took all night and day. It was day and night and day and night and day and night again before he got those buttons unbuttoned on her dress. And then she also had to take out 50,000 bobby pins. Like, dang, her hair didn't even look like it was in that much of a style to have that many bobby pins in it. But the crazy thing is, when they finally went to bed, he said he you know, sleeps with a body pillow, but I don't think he wanted to sleep in the bed with his wife with a body pillow. I think he sleeps with a body pillow because he's single, you know. So she took that as, oh no, I'm gonna put a pillow in between us as a barrier. And I was just like, but why Bao, why? I don't think that man was gonna come over and disrespect you. I don't think you had to do that. I would have felt a way about it. I would have, I ain't gonna lie. And you could tell that he felt a little deflated. And then at the end she was like, well, you know, I get cold easily. Let him warm you up. Let him warm you up. Do you, girl. So let's move on to Mirla and Gil. So clearly Mirla really is enamored by this man as far as looks goes, because when they were dancing, she was just like, the first thing she thought when she first saw him, she was like, thank God he's not ugly. I love his eyes. I love his smile. I love that he's clean cut. I love this. Like, she named all the things she loved about him. The reason why I say she must really like him is because, you know, her pickiness is off the charts. So for her to be that enamored, and he was bald headed, and for her to overlook that, she was attractive, okay? And he obviously was too. He felt like she was super confident to be able to rock a dress like that, and he liked her lips, and she know what you trying to imply, and it ain't gonna work, okay? Not until she ready to kiss you, okay? And we saw that whenever they sat down for dinner, you know, that little tapping on the glass thing that they do on here sometimes to try to make them kiss. I always think that's so stupid, y'all. I think that is so ridiculous. I think it's so stupid. And she was not going for it, okay? His friend was like, come on, kiss, come on, trying to root them on to kiss. And she was like, okay, on the cheek. But not before she got him together and was like, no, okay? Like, she shut him down like she was a principal, he was a student. Like, he was kind of being a little childish, so I wasn't mad at it at all. But she stuck behind her guns and was like, okay, you can kiss me on the cheek, I'll kiss you on the cheek. And I'm not mad at her for keeping her boundaries. Like, I already said I wasn't kissing you on the lips. I don't need no whole room trying to peer pressure me. I'm a grown woman. But when they sat down, Gil made it clear the chivalry was not dead. He opens all doors and he pulls out all chairs, okay? He's also very traditional in that he would like for her to change her last name to his last name. And she claims she's never thought about it, but really she doesn't really want to change her last name because her father has passed away and she would like to hold on to her last name in honor of him, right? So I understand why she didn't have that conversation right then and there, because that might have been a little, you know, it might have started something. But that's why I said I like these couples, because they're mature enough to table conversations for later. We don't have to get into it right now on the first day we met each other. So when he sat down with her family, he told them that he's concerned about her loving designer stuff because he's very frugal. And they said, well, that's just the way she enjoys herself. And at the end of the day, she's buying her own. Like, she works hard and she makes the money to be able to buy that. I feel like as long as you're not struggling, as long as, you know, you're putting money away in your savings, as long as you're like taking care of business, paying your bills, you should be able to buy whatever it is that you want to buy with the money that you earn, period. And honestly, I feel like he just feels intimidated because she more than likely makes more money than him. That's what I feel, because when he was like, you know, I'm frugal because, you know, basically I don't make as much. Why should that affect the way she wants to spend? Y'all, I didn't understand it last season with Brianna and Vincent. I don't understand it this season. I just really think the men be insecure low-key. Sorry. But then we get over to her speaking with his people. Now, first she's speaking with his friend and this other lady. I didn't really get who she was, but they were basically trying to tell her that she will have to change her lifestyle for this marriage and trying to tell her what she gonna have to do different. I mean, they were just really doing too much, if you ask me. She hasn't even had these financial conversations with her husband. Why are you coming over here trying to regulate? And so, you know, the friend was like, he's extremely cheap, and basically they're going to be constantly bumping heads over her spending habits. Shut all that down. It was like, why am I going to have to change my lifestyle? Why? Shut it all the way down and was basically like, and who going to check me? Who going to check me, boo? Y'all don't like Mirla, but this only made me like her even more. Because y'all, one of my biggest pet peeves is people jumping in my business unwarranted and not having any business doing so. That gets on my last nerve. So the way she shut them down so classy and so respectfully, I was here for it. I wasn't even mad. Mirla a boss, y'all. Mirla is a boss, and she's gonna make you respect her boundaries, and I'm not mad about it. I'm just not. I can't be. And then his other friend was doing too much, dipping their business, talking about why she didn't kiss him. And she basically said, well, I'm more conservative when it comes to that. And they are strangers and she wants to get to know him. And she, you know, they were like, well, what's the timeline? She was like, I don't have a timeline. That is between her and Gil. I'm gonna need for y'all to get out the business. Y'all doing a little bit too much. But my tolerance would have got really short with all these people coming over here trying to tell me what to do, trying to make me step outside my boundaries that I clearly already set. And you over here trying to press me. Sure, she did better than me. Oh, also, he spoke with her friends and they asked about consummation, and he was basically like, you know, he's willing to wait for her, and he rather build trust and build a rapport with each other. And you know, they were like, well, even if she tells you to wait 6 months, he was like, what's 6 months in the scheme of things if we're going to be married for 40 years, you know, just be a blip in time. And I'm like, you know what, Gil, that's cute to say for now. I'm gonna remember you said that. I'm gonna remember you said that, because by the looks of the previews, you was mad that you couldn't even get a kiss. Okay, so I'm gonna put a pin in that, and we're gonna remember that. So once the reception was over with, they took off in a fire truck, which I thought was cute. And when they got up to the room, they were very comfortable. Like, even though she's not trying to kiss him, she did, you know, lay in the bed with him. She was comfortable enough to like kind of lay with him. So it's not that she's being completely standoffish. I kind of see where she's coming from. She just wants to get to know him a little bit better before she does those intimate things, I guess, you know. And he claims he's willing to respect it. So we'll see how that goes. So let's move on to Brett and Ryan. Okay, so what I want to say about Ryan, his face is very expressionless. Like, you almost can't even read him. Now, I did watch Unfiltered, and he seemed to have more of a personality. What I'm thinking is his personality doesn't really come through on camera. He doesn't have like a very expressive personality, but he's not just what I thought he was when I watch Unfiltered. So I'm not gonna go in the way I was gonna go in, because maybe he was nervous. This was the first time he met this woman. He did seem to loosen up at some point, but for someone to have been considered a player and dated all these women, I just expected him to be a tad bit more charismatic, charming, smooth. You don't really get none of that from him, but maybe that's my assumptions about him. I don't know. So when she first walked down the aisle, they both seemed really happy to see each other. I like the way she was just so cute and bubbly. She made the situation that much lighter because he was so fidgety. Like, he couldn't stop swaying back and forth, moving back and forth. He was so fidgety with his hands. His hands were shaking. He was making me so nervous, y'all. Oh my goodness, my nerves were so bad watching him. And then when his family was describing him to her, they said he might come off as cool, cocky, and confident. And I'm like, where? What kind of bootleg Casanova? I don't see that nowhere on him. Child, they didn't waste no time kissing each other, because they kissed each other before the officiant even told them to kiss each other. I mean, they were like magnets to each other. And then, you know, obviously they kissed again after he was like, okay, now you may kiss the bride. I thought it was cute because he wasn't nervous then. He wasn't too nervous to kiss her. And I was like, y'all kissing 2 times being fast. But it was cute. So when they had their first conversation, he was like enamored by her beauty. And we find out that she's a high school teacher. And he works with oil and gas. And yeah, they took their photos. I really don't have much about that other than he barely smiled. He's just very emotionless, very bland. Like, I don't know what's going on here. I want him to smile a little bit more. Even when he does smile, it's like this. Like smile. Act like you're happy. Act like you want to be here, sir. Don't act like somebody got a gun to your back and making you get married to this woman. So when they get to the reception, he kind of forced her to do this 2-step on their first dance, and she just looked so uncomfortable. And I'm like, why would you make her do something she's never done on her first dance, on y'all's first dance together? Y'all just met each other. I was just I mean, they could barely even talk. Like, during the first dance, that's when they usually, you know, talk a little bit more, get to know each other a little bit more. But she couldn't even talk because she's trying to like focus on this dance that you making her do. I mean, he literally was like dragging her around the dance floor, making her spin around. Somebody wanted her to dip. She was like, girl, I don't even know what I'm doing. Stop that. But she feels like she doesn't fit in with his country lifestyle whatsoever. She doesn't even listen to country music. Later on, when she was talking to his family, I mean, she really went on a whole tangent talking about how she doesn't understand this country lifestyle. Do I have to get boots? Am I gonna have to be, you know, married to a cowboy? I mean, really, she was kind of talking a little bit too much. I feel like she was just saying a little bit too much. But she sounds like she's totally against killing animals and hunting and things like that. And that sounds like what they're all about. But I like the fact that on Unfiltered, he did say like he only goes hunting like once a year, and he's really not that involved in the country lifestyle as much as they tried to make it seem. That's where he comes from. That's not something he's just engrossed in. So I'm glad he did clarify that, because I don't know what they family members was on. Then she asked them, was she his type? And they basically was like, no. It was a resounding no. And I'm like, why would you ask that? He had a similar conversation with her bridesmaids, and he basically was like, he doesn't usually date redheads. And that whole redhead conversation was just kind of weird to me. Like, what does red hair have to do with anything? I think if you dye your hair red, you want to stand out. But what does that have to do necessarily with who she is as a person? I don't know. So the fact that they were harping on the red hair thing was very weird to me. So after their reception and they went up to the room, she removed all of her makeup. She was so concerned that he wasn't going to think she was pretty when she took her makeup off. And he ended up loving the fact that she had a fresh face. He said he liked that even more than her makeup. And I'm just like, most men claim to appreciate that. So I don't know what you were so worried about. She pretty much looked the same. She had very natural makeup, so when she took it off, it didn't really make a huge difference. But, you know, that was nice to see that he, you know, made her feel comfortable with not wearing makeup and just being herself around him, though. I guess that was cute. So they seem to have had a lot of chemistry as well. Even though they are not usually attracted to each other as far as physically, they seem to click in other ways. So I have more hope for them than I did in the beginning. After this wedding, they seem like they just might make it. We'll see. So finally, let's talk about Rachel and Jose. You know what? I really like to see Rachel's personality. She's very bubbly. She's very outgoing. I don't know why we didn't get too much of that from the first episode, but you could clearly see it during this wedding, how, like, you know, he was low-key freezing up at some points and she would kind of like pull him out of it. And I like the fact that she was just so warm and inviting to him. He better treat her right. Anyway, at the beginning of this, Pastor Cal said that she struggles to find her voice in relationships. And I'm just like, why would you match her with someone who is low-key overbearing, that has all of these stipulations, that clearly is going to want to be the boss in the relationship? Why would you match her up with someone like that if she has a hard time finding her voice? And she herself said one of her biggest fears is losing herself again. And you know, I'm a little nervous about that with these two. I ain't gonna lie. And on top of that, he seems to be very insecure about his looks. When he was talking to his friends, he told them, well, what if she doesn't like my nose, or what if she doesn't like my forehead? It gave insecure, and I was just like, I hope he doesn't take his insecurities out on her during this process. So when they both first saw each other, they both seemed to be really happy with what they saw. So he told her she was beautiful, and I don't know, did he expect her to say you're beautiful too? Like, what did he expect? He almost looked disappointed when she just thanked him and didn't say, you know, anything about him, didn't return a compliment. So their introduction was very awkward. So also on Unfiltered, Ryan made it clear that the officiant did not know that these were two strangers getting married. Why didn't they alert this officiant? I don't know, but that made their ceremony very awkward because he left these long, awkward pauses. I mean, he didn't even introduce the two of them to one another. Like, what? Like, she literally had to step up and be like, you know, I'm Rachel, and you are, like, I thought the officiant was supposed to do all that. I really didn't like what her family said about her. They said she was hungry, so keep her fed, like she's some type of animal or pet. And then they said she loves to sleep, almost implying that she's lazy. She loves to sleep. Like, why would you? She got to set 20 alarms just to wake her lazy behind up. That's the way it came out to me. Like, why would y'all say that? So at the end of their ceremony, they did something called a lasso ritual, which I have never heard of. They were bound together with a ceremonial rosary, and it signified them honoring each other and like never breaking up, basically. So when it was time to kiss the bride, they gave each other a peck at the speed of light. Like, that kiss was so fast I had to rewind it. Like, I thought I missed it. Like, did y'all kiss each other or not? Like, it was so quick. Like, that was a very quick peck, but it was cute nonetheless. So for their first conversation, I feel like they are overly excited to talk. Both of them are talkative. And I feel like it worked for the most part because they were excited to be with each other, excited to be there and meet each other and like experience this together. And, you know, they were very comfortable with one another. But I also feel like because they were overly excited, they would blurt out things and it would come out and rub the other person the wrong way. Like, it didn't happen the entire time, and neither one of them let it ruin their experience. But it was a couple of times that they said things that may have rubbed the other the wrong way. They did this little icebreaker that she came up with that I love that she came up with. And basically each person says, you know, one thing, and the other person, they'll like, I guess, drink if they can relate to it. And so they found out both of them are from Houston, born and raised. They both love sporting events. They both speak Spanish, and they both work out often. So they really have a lot in common. And he said he got everything he wanted with her. And she said she told the experts that she focused more on personality and she's really not into looks. The way she said it made it seem like he's not physically attractive, but she don't care about that. She just likes him for his personality, which that's not the case at all. It was like a total miscommunication. She kind of really did stick her foot in her mouth with how that came out of her mouth. And then the fact that she said boom at the end, it was like, girl, what are you doing? Because his face dropped so fast. I kind of felt bad for him a little bit because he is a little insecure. So I know they kind of stung a little bit with the way it came out. And she said on Unfiltered that when she said that, she was just trying to show him that she's not shallow. And in fact, she's very much attracted to him. But regardless, I feel like he should be relieved that she said that. Like, I feel like that's not something that's completely negative or that you should take in a completely negative way. Because some women would have looked at him and probably been like, you know, you too short, you know what I'm saying, or something like that. And she was letting him know, I'm not focused on that. So you would, you know, it's something you should appreciate. So then when they were taking their photos and she met his stepmother, his mother, and his father, and when they were taking pictures, he was just like super quiet and almost refused to smile. Like, the photographer was like, can you smile? Can you smile? And he just was not smiling at all. Like, I'm like, were you still in your feelings about what she said? Like, I didn't understand why he wasn't smiling. He claims to be this talkative person. His family said he's like this talkative person, but you know, he wasn't talking. It didn't make any sense to me. Maybe he was shy, but I feel like he was probably in his feelings over what she said because he took it the wrong way. But she was having so much fun with it, and she wasn't letting his insecurities take over. Like, you know, even though he was being cringy and he needed to loosen up, she was keeping the moment light, and I totally appreciated that about her. So at the reception, this is where he puts his foot in his mouth. He starts doing too much, talking about his checklist. He was like, I want what I want and I get what I want. Remember on the first episode when he was like, he had a whole list of 250 questions that he wrote down that he wanted to ask her? I am so glad he did not pull that out, because that would have been so psycho. She says she fears that he is expecting too much in a wife and she doesn't know if she's going to be able to give it to him, you know what I'm saying? So she was second guessing herself, and I'm like, oh, please don't do that, girl. I really want her to be able to set her boundaries and stand up to him and not let him just completely take over. I don't want her to fall into that same pattern that she fell into before, because that's not gonna be good for this type of situation, you know, just bending to his every whim. I don't think that is a healthy relationship. So I hope she has the courage to stand up to him and put her foot down when it needs to be put down. But overall, you guys, they really were attracted to each other. I mean, by the end of the reception, like, they had kissed multiple times. They were all over each other. You know, I'm glad to see that it ended the way it did. They seem to be in a good place. I'm hoping that Jose can really compromise. I'm hoping that he can stop being so rigid on all of the things that he thinks he wants. It hasn't worked for you in the past. So that's it for my review. Y'all let me know how y'all feel down below. Do you agree with me? Do you not agree with me? I would love to hear your opinion, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in my next one. Peace.